Have you ever noticed how food affects you differently now than it did when you were younger? Maybe you used to enjoy a big plate of pasta or a slice of pie without thinking twice, and now it leaves you feeling sluggish, bloated, or just plain tired. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. As we get older, our bodies change, and the truth is, some foods that once seemed harmless can quietly chip away at our health, energy, and even our chances of reaching a strong, vibrant 90 plus. But here's the good news. What you eat can also be one of your greatest tools for staying sharp, energetic, and independent for decades to come. In this video, we're going to have an honest conversation about 6 common foods that could be quietly working against your health goals. These aren't exotic or unusual ingredients. In fact, you probably have some of them in your kitchen right now. But making small shifts away from these foods could help protect your heart, your brain, your joints, and give you a better shot at feeling amazing well into your 80s, 90s, and beyond. Now, this isn't about dieting or cutting everything you enjoy. It's about understanding how certain choices, especially after age 60, affect your body differently, and how a few simple swaps can lead to more energy, better sleep, and even a longer, healthier life. Let's start with something that's probably in nearly every household: processed meats. I'm talking about things like bacon, sausage, ham, and even some types of deli turkey or roast beef. They're easy, they taste good, and they've been part of many people's routines for years. But here's the catch. These meats are often loaded with preservatives, sodium, and compounds like nitrates that have been linked to inflammation, high blood pressure, and even cancer risks. And for folks over 60, our systems just aren't as equipped to handle that burden as they once were. Think of your body like a car engine that's been running smoothly for decades. It needs cleaner fuel now, not the cheapest gas at the pump. So instead of reaching for those packaged meats, try switching to leaner, whole options. Roast your own chicken breast at home. Use herbs and olive oil to bring flavor instead of relying on salt. You don't have to sacrifice taste. You're just choosing fuel that helps your engine last longer. Another food that sneaks up on people is white bread and refined grains. Yes, the sandwich bread you've been using for years, the white rice on your plate, even those simple pasta dishes. The problem is that these refined grains act more like sugar once they hit your bloodstream. They spike your blood sugar, then crash it, which can leave you feeling foggy, tired, and hungry all over again. And if you're managing conditions like prediabetes or high blood pressure, something many people over 60 are dealing with, this can make things worse. It's not just about carbs. It's about the quality of those carbs. Whole grains like oats, brown rice, and quinoa digest more slowly and keep your energy steady. If you've ever felt that mid-afternoon slump or woken up in the middle of the night feeling anxious for no reason, blood sugar swings could be part of the cause. Making a simple swap at lunch, from white bread to a hearty sprouted grain option, can stabilize your day in ways that go far beyond your stomach. Now, I want to pause here for a second. This isn't about guilt or restriction. You've lived enough life to know that food is deeply personal, connected to memories, culture, comfort. It's not about banning everything you enjoy. It's about building a plate that supports the life you want to keep living, one with clarity, strength, and joy. And yes, that still includes occasional treats. But we want your daily choices, the ones you make without even thinking, to quietly work in your favor. Let's talk about one more food before we wrap this part. Sugary beverages. I know, it sounds obvious, but it's amazing how often sodas, sweet teas, energy drinks, and even fruit juices show up in people's routines without much thought. The issue isn't just the sugar itself, it's the fact that it hits your body fast, without the fiber or fat to slow it down. That fast spike doesn't just affect your blood sugar. It can also strain your heart, stress your liver, and fuel inflammation all over the body. You might be thinking, but I've always had a glass of orange juice with breakfast. That's okay. But maybe now it's time to shift to eating the whole orange instead. Or if you love iced tea, try making it unsweetened and adding a slice of lemon or mint. Hydration matters so much more after 60. Our sense of thirst decreases with age, which means it's easier to get dehydrated without realizing it. So swapping sugary drinks for water with cucumber, herbal teas, or even sparkling water can boost your energy and support your brain function without the crash. All of these changes sound simple, but they add up. Choosing different staples for your sandwich, your grain at dinner, or what's in your glass. They might not seem life-changing in the moment, but over months and years, they become the difference between just surviving and truly thriving. Now that we've talked about processed meats, refined grains, and sugary drinks, let's continue this journey by looking at a few more everyday foods that might be holding you back and how you can feel stronger, lighter, and more in control just by changing what's on your plate. Let's keep going. So we've already talked about how processed meats, refined grains, and sugary drinks might be stealing some of your energy and making it harder to feel your best. Now let's shift the focus to a few other common foods that might be sneaking into your diet more often than you realize and gently nudging your health in the wrong direction, especially as you get older. One of the biggest culprits? Fried foods. I know. There's nothing quite like the crispy crunch of fried chicken or a perfectly golden French fry. These foods aren't just tasty, they're tied to memories. Family gatherings, summer picnics, Sunday dinners. But as we age, our digestive systems slow down, our metabolism changes, and our arteries become more sensitive to what we put into our bodies. Fried foods are often cooked in oils that are reused, processed, and packed with unhealthy fats that can trigger inflammation in the body and clog up arteries. You may not feel it immediately, but over time, this kind of inflammation becomes a silent saboteur. It doesn't announce itself with a bang. It creeps in as stiffness in the joints, a little brain fog, or trouble sleeping. And worst of all, it adds to the risk of heart disease, something that becomes a real concern after 60. But here's the upside. You don't have to give up crispy, satisfying meals. You can bake instead of fry. You can use an air fryer. You can experiment with heart-healthy oils like olive or avocado, which support your body rather than burden it. You're not giving something up. You're upgrading it. And that small switch, done consistently, could mean more walks with your grandkids, more strength for travel, more nights of peaceful sleep. Another food that many people overlook is packaged snacks. Those crackers, cookies, chips, granola bars. They're so easy to grab when you're watching TV or reading a book. But the problem isn't just the calories, it's the additives, preservatives, and ultra-processed ingredients that are hard for your body to break down. These foods are often engineered to make you crave more of them. They don't satisfy, they stir up hunger. And for older adults, these snacks can wreak havoc on blood sugar, digestion, and even memory. If you've ever found yourself eating more than you meant to and still feeling unsatisfied, you've experienced this firsthand. It's not a lack of willpower, it's the design of the food. So instead of keeping those packaged snacks within reach, think about creating little grab-and-go bowls of whole foods. Nuts, apple slices, cucumber with hummus, or plain yogurt with berries. Keep it simple. Keep it real. Your body will know the difference. Now, this next one might surprise you. Low-fat or diet foods. I know for years we were told to fear fat, that if something had the word low-fat on the label, it was the healthier choice. But as we've learned more about nutrition, especially for people over 60, the science tells a different story. When fat is removed from foods, something has to replace it. And often, that's sugar or artificial ingredients that your body doesn't handle very well. And here's something else. Healthy fats are actually essential for brain function, hormone balance, and absorbing key vitamins like A, D, E, and K. So that fat-free salad dressing? It might sound healthy, but if it's filled with sugar and chemicals, it's doing more harm than good. Instead, embrace real food in its whole form. Full-fat yogurt, real olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados. These are the kinds of fats that support longevity, not shorten it. You're not trying to eat like someone half your age. You're eating for where you are now, to stay strong, clear-headed, and energized for the life you still have ahead of you. At this stage, food becomes more than fuel. It's medicine. It's connection. It's memory. It's joy. But most of all, it's power. Every time you pick up your fork, you're either helping your body heal or making it work harder. And the more you choose foods that support your energy, calm inflammation, and stabilize your blood sugar, the more your body responds with vitality, clarity, and resilience. Think of food like gardening. You don't just dump whatever into the soil and hope for the best. You plant carefully, you water, you prune, and eventually, you see the beauty grow. That's what these changes do for your health. It's not about overhauling your entire kitchen in one day. It's about being mindful, being intentional, choosing one thing to change today, and letting that change build into something remarkable. We've now looked at how fried foods, packaged snacks, and diet foods might be doing more harm than good, and how making different choices can give you more years, more strength, and more joy. Absolutely. Let's keep going. Now that we've taken a closer look at some of the more common foods that might be sneaking into your diet, those fried favorites, the so-called healthy snacks, and even those tricky low-fat labels, it's time to talk about one more surprising category. One that often hides behind a glass, not a plate. Alcohol. Now before you roll your eyes or sigh, let's be real with each other. A glass of wine with dinner, a cold beer on a summer day, those moments are part of life's little pleasures. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying them in moderation. But after 60, our bodies don't process alcohol the same way they used to. The liver slows down. The body retains less water. Medications interact differently. And something that once gave you a pleasant buzz might now leave you tired, dehydrated, or even dizzy. It's not just about avoiding hangovers. It's about how alcohol affects your sleep, your blood pressure, and even your cognitive clarity. You might have noticed this shift already. Maybe after a glass or two, you don't feel quite like yourself. Maybe your sleep is lighter or broken. Maybe your energy the next day is a little more sluggish than usual. These are your body's gentle signals. It's not punishing you, it's just asking for a little more care. So what can you do? You don't need to give it up completely unless your doctor advises it. But maybe instead of a nightly drink, make it a once-a-week celebration. Try sparkling water with a splash of juice and some fresh herbs. Try herbal teas in the evening that help you wind down and rest deeply. Over time, you might find that the ritual of winding down is what you enjoy most, not necessarily the drink itself. And when your body feels better, your sleep improves, your mood lifts, and those little nagging aches begin to ease. Well, suddenly, the trade-off doesn't feel like a sacrifice at all. Let's now talk about something many people overlook because it sounds so innocent. White bread and pastries. These are the soft, fluffy, comforting foods that bring back memories of breakfasts at the diner or warm rolls with dinner. But here's what makes them tricky. These foods are made from refined flour, stripped of nutrients and fiber. They break down quickly in your body into sugar, which causes your blood sugar to spike and then crash. That crash leaves you tired, irritable, and hungry again. And over time, those ups and downs put stress on your insulin levels, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart issues, and even brain fog. But again, it's not about giving up the comfort of a warm slice of bread. It's about choosing better versions. Whole grain bread with real seeds and oats. Sourdough made the traditional way, or better yet, trying alternatives like sweet potatoes or oatmeal for breakfast. These options fuel your body rather than deplete it, keeping your energy steady and your digestion happy. Think about how much better your mornings feel when you're not sluggish or crashing by mid-morning. That's the difference one choice can make. And finally, let's talk about something a little less obvious, but just as important. Frozen dinners and prepackaged meals. They're convenient, and sometimes they even say healthy right on the box. But flip it over and read the ingredients. You'll often find high sodium levels, preservatives, and artificial flavors. After 60, your body is more sensitive to sodium. Too much of it can cause water retention, raise your blood pressure, and put extra strain on your heart and kidneys. You may not feel it immediately, but over time, it chips away at your vitality. That doesn't mean you have to start cooking every meal from scratch. But even simple swaps, like making a big pot of soup from fresh ingredients and freezing it in portions, can give you the same convenience with way more nutrition. And the truth is, cooking can be joyful. Put on some music, invite a friend over, try a new recipe. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be made with love and real food. That alone changes how your body receives it. When you start to pay attention to how your body responds to these foods, not just in the moment, but the next day, the next week, you'll begin to trust those signals more. You'll begin to feel in control again, not like your health is slipping through your fingers. Because it's not. It's never too late to reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your joy. And you don't have to do it with massive overhauls or strict diets. You do it by noticing, by choosing, by honoring your body in this new chapter of life the way it has carried you through so many before. You've worked hard. You've lived through ups and downs, raised families, built careers, faced loss, found joy again. You've earned the right to feel good every single day. And these simple changes, these small food swaps, are the beginning of that. You are not too old. It is not too late. Your story is still unfolding. Now that you've started to think about how your meals are really affecting the way you feel, from your energy to your sleep, to the way your body handles stress, let's shift into something equally important, but often underestimated. Sugar. And not just the sugar in your coffee or desserts, but the sugar that hides in so many everyday foods. Have you ever looked at the label of a jar of tomato sauce or a box of crackers and noticed sugar listed in the ingredients? It sneaks in under names like corn syrup, cane juice, dextrose, and about 20 others. It's not just in cookies and candies, it's in salad dressings, granola bars, even yogurt. And while it may seem harmless in small amounts, those small amounts add up fast. The challenge is that after 60, your metabolism naturally slows. That means your body doesn't burn through sugar like it used to. Instead, excess sugar leads to more fat storage, especially around the belly. And unfortunately, that kind of fat isn't just cosmetic. It surrounds your internal organs and raises your risk for heart disease, diabetes, and inflammation. You might be thinking, but I'm not eating that much sugar. And maybe that's true. But the only way to really know is to take a closer look. Try this. For just one day, read every label. Check how much added sugar is in the foods you're eating. You might be surprised. Even something as innocent as a piece of whole wheat bread can have more sugar than a cookie, depending on the brand. So what can you do? Swap sugary snacks for fruit. Choose unsweetened versions of yogurt or milk and sweeten them naturally with berries or cinnamon. If you like a sweet drink, try herbal teas with a splash of lemon or mint. Over time, your taste buds adjust. What once seemed bland starts to taste rich and satisfying. And the best part? You'll begin to feel lighter, clearer, and more balanced. Sugar is a quick pleasure, but a long-term thief. And the good news is, you don't have to cut it all out to start seeing the benefits. Just becoming aware is powerful, and making even small changes can set you on a much healthier path. Now, let's talk about another food that can wear down your vitality in a quiet but persistent way. Processed meats. Think about sausages, hot dogs, deli meats, and bacon. They're tasty, convenient, and often bring up fond memories of barbecues and Sunday breakfasts. But the problem isn't the meat itself, it's how it's processed. Processed meats are often loaded with sodium, preservatives, and nitrates. Ingredients that can increase the risk of heart problems and even certain types of cancer. Plus, these meats tend to be high in saturated fats, which can raise bad cholesterol levels and strain your cardiovascular system. That might not have been an issue when you were 40 or 50, but at 60 and beyond, your heart deserves all the support it can get. What's the alternative? Go for lean, whole cuts of meat, like grilled chicken, turkey breast, or even a small portion of lean beef. Or better yet, explore plant-based options a few days a week. Lentils, beans, chickpeas, these foods are full of fiber, protein, and they're easier on your system. You might find you actually feel more energized when you're not weighed down by heavy, greasy meals. Remember, it's not about giving up your favorites forever. It's about saving them for special occasions and finding new daily choices that fuel your life, not drain it. Your body, after all, is working hard for you. Every heartbeat, every breath. It deserves the best you can give it. Now let's talk about a food category that has exploded in popularity in the last couple of decades, often marketed as health food, energy bars, protein shakes, and meal replacement snacks. These might seem like a convenient way to stay healthy, especially if you're on the go or not feeling up to cooking, but many of them are packed with artificial ingredients, excessive protein, and yes, sugar. They may give you a quick lift, but what goes up must come down. And often, these processed health products can lead to energy crashes, digestive issues, and blood sugar spikes. Instead of nourishing your body, they end up confusing it. So what's the fix? Whole, simple foods. A handful of almonds and a piece of fruit. A slice of whole grain toast with natural peanut butter. A bowl of oatmeal with flax seeds and blueberries. These choices don't just satisfy your hunger, they support your body with real nutrients. Think of it this way. Your body is like a beautiful classic car. It's carried you through decades of life. It's seen love, joy, heartbreak, growth. And just like a classic car, it needs clean, premium fuel. Not quick fixes, not shortcuts. The moment you start making food choices with love and attention, your body responds. You feel it in your knees, in your mind, in your mood. And every one of those changes adds up to something powerful. Not just living longer, but living better. The truth is, you don't need a miracle diet. You don't need to follow trendy eating plans or deprive yourself. What you need is mindfulness, the ability to pause, notice what you're putting into your body, and ask, is this supporting the life I want to live? Because you deserve that. You deserve to feel strong, clear-headed, and full of life, whether you're 60, 70, or 90. These food choices are not punishments. They're gifts. They're your way of saying, I'm still here, and I'm choosing to live well. Let's take a moment to reflect. If you've made it this far, it means you care deeply about the life ahead of you. You're not here to merely get by, you're here to thrive. So let's keep going. There are just a couple more food habits we need to talk about. And these ones? They often hide in plain sight. One of the most overlooked culprits when it comes to shortening our health span, not just our lifespan, is refined white flour. It's in white bread, pastries, pancakes, pizza crust, and most boxed cereals. At first glance, it doesn't seem harmful. It's just bread, right? But refined white flour is stripped of nearly all the nutrients and fiber that make whole grains beneficial in the first place. When you eat white flour, your body reacts a lot like it does with sugar. Your blood sugar spikes quickly, giving you a short burst of energy, and then it crashes, leaving you tired, irritable, and craving more carbs. And over time, that roller coaster adds strain on your insulin levels, which can increase your risk for type 2 diabetes, weight gain, and inflammation. But the change here is simple. Instead of white bread, try whole grain or sprouted grain breads. Instead of white rice, go for brown rice or quinoa. Swap out regular pasta for whole wheat, chickpea, or lentil-based options. You might be surprised by how good these alternatives taste once you get used to them, and how much steadier and more energized you feel throughout the day. Your digestive system will thank you too. More fiber means better digestion, fewer issues with constipation, and a happier gut overall. And as we're learning more and more, a healthy gut is deeply connected to brain health, immune function, and even emotional well-being. Now, we can't end without talking about one more thing. It's the one that seems the least obvious, but it might be the most important. Overly salty, packaged convenience foods. We're talking canned soups, frozen meals, boxed noodle dishes, and salty snacks like chips or flavored crackers. Yes, they're easy. Yes, they're fast. And yes, they're tempting, especially when you're tired and just want something ready in a minute. But these foods often come loaded with sodium, far more than your body needs. And as you age, too much sodium can quickly become a dangerous game. Excess sodium raises your blood pressure. High blood pressure increases your risk for heart disease, stroke, kidney problems, and even cognitive decline. And it doesn't always come with symptoms. Many people don't feel high blood pressure until it's already caused damage. That's why they call it the silent killer. But here's where your power comes in. You don't have to cut salt out of your life entirely. You just have to become aware. Start by reading labels. Look for the sodium content in the foods you buy. A good rule of thumb? Try to keep your total sodium intake under 1,500 milligrams per day if you're over 60. Better yet, start seasoning your meals with herbs, spices, lemon, garlic, and pepper, instead of reaching for the salt shaker or the packaged stuff. When you cook at home, even just a few more meals a week, you have control. And that control adds up. I know change isn't always easy, especially when you've spent decades eating a certain way. These habits may bring comfort, nostalgia, even joy. But here's the thing. You can create new habits that bring just as much comfort and give you more energy, better sleep, and clearer thinking, all without sacrificing the joy of food. Because food isn't just fuel. It's part of how we love ourselves, how we care for the bodies that have carried us through heartbreaks and victories, through sleepless nights with babies and long walks with old friends. These bodies have done so much for us. And at this stage in life, they need just a little more help to keep going strong. So, what does all this mean, really? It means small shifts, not giant leaps, can have the biggest impact. It means replacing instead of removing. It means noticing instead of ignoring. And most importantly, it means treating yourself with the kindness and respect you've earned. If you've been eating a certain way for 60, 70, 80 years, you're not going to overhaul your entire life overnight. And you don't have to. You just start with one meal, one change. One moment when you say, I want to feel better. I want to live longer. I want to live well. That's enough. When you make these choices, when you avoid the sugary traps, the processed meats, the white flour, the overly salty foods, you're not giving up the good stuff. You're making room for even better stuff. You're investing in more mornings, more sunsets, more memories with people who matter. And that, my friend, is the true gift of caring for your health. It's not about restriction. It's about freedom. The freedom to wake up feeling strong. The freedom to move without pain. The freedom to spend your years doing what you love, not sitting in waiting rooms, taking pills, or feeling like your best days are behind you. They're not. They're still ahead. And every better food choice you make is another step toward them. Here's to living longer, not just in years, but in joy, energy, and peace. Because after all, you've come this far, and you deserve to make the rest of the journey the best part yet.